It's All Things Considered, and I'm Dave Lawrence. We're continuing the latest interview in our Off the Road series, speaking with artists about their experience with the pandemic and other crises. Hear everything we've aired so far at hawaiipublicradio.org, including part one of this from yesterday, and with today's feature, the complete hour-long interview with trumpeter Randy Brecker of the legendary Brecker Brothers, who just put out Brecker Brothers Live and Unreleased. Was this live and unreleased in any way? I mean, obviously it is in some ways affected by the pandemic.
Well, we didn't have any gigs, but it was funny. This was a radio show broadcast in 1980 from Uncle Po, Carnegie Hall, which is a famous club and concert hall in Hamburg, Germany. We were trying to remember the gig. I have actually no recollection about the particular gig, and there was apparently a reason for it. I spoke to our tour manager, who's still a friend of mine, and he had remembered that we barely made the gig in time. It was a one-nighter. This must have been a particularly good night. Our chops are up, and we're really excited to play. And it came about, like I said, broadcasted a radio show and put it together. We made a very nice cover. But the only, I guess, repercussion is my wife and I ordered 1,000 2-CD sets, and they all came about 2 days before the lockdown started. And I had all these gigs planned, so I figured I could sell them on the gigs. So as the saying goes, I used to be a million seller, and now I have a million in my cellar. That record and a bunch of other ones that I usually would take on the road with me. So the package is actually really nice. I found some old photos of the tour that's included in the 2-CD set, and wrote some liner notes, and it's just packaged really well, and it's a lot of fun to listen to.
Well, something that's a lot of fun to look at is your resume. It's just kind of jaw-dropping. I was hoping I could just pry loose a few stories or highlights.
You got it.
What are the ones that maybe get you the most excited, proud to talk about? Maybe as I'm mentioning it, you're starting to smile thinking about one or two in particular?
Well, that's a pretty all-encompassing question since I did so many dates. I did my life in reverse. Most guys went out on the road when they were young. Like I came to New York when I was 20, 21 years old, going to NYU, and quickly got sucked into the studio scene. Luckily, Mike and I had also a playing career, so we were able to basically just go out on the road and make a living from all those years on. Now it's been really 30 or 40 years up until 3 or 4 months ago. So I did everything in reverse. I'll be 75 in November. The ones I get asked about, I have no recollection of because I was hired by a guy named Bob Ezrin, a wonderful producer.
Yeah.
Well, there was one Rolling Stones session I remember. That was not for Ezrin. That was for Arif Mardin. The Stones were signed to Atlantic Records. We played on several of their records. But this one date, I was the contractor, and I called up a lot of my friends to play at Atlantic Studios. And Mick was conducting the band, if you can believe it or not, all first-rate studio guys. And it was amazing to us because it was like he was on stage in front of like 100,000 people. He was counting off the tunes, dancing around the studio like he was literally on stage. So one tune he was going, he started counting off the tune. Let's go 1, 2, and Alan Rubin, my comedic friend, a great trumpet player from the Blues Brothers, was sitting next to me. Alan stood up and went 3 and cracked Mick up. Well, what's some other good ones? I always bring this one up, and this is a good story with the Born to Run, Bruce Springsteen. Now, that one, we showed up, and there was music paper on our stands, but there were no notes on the music paper. It was blank. And we were only hired to play. We weren't hired to arrange anything, but we were in a spot, and it was a tune called 10th Avenue Freeze Out.
Wow.
Started working on it. We were maybe 2 or 3 hours into doing it. We recorded some stuff, and all of a sudden, a guy flew into the studio saying, "Man, that's not it. That sounds terrible. That's not it." It turned out that was Miami Steve Van Zandt. And he didn't know much about the studio scene. We were kind of names in the studio scene, he was kind of not the most polite to us I must say, at first. I think then guys poked him and said, give him a break a little. But anyway, he really gave us some really good ideas to rewrite the thing, and that's what ended up on that record. He got really embarrassed when he found out, quote, who we were, and they were all really sweet guys.
Was Bruce around much for any of that?
Yeah, they were all there. Those are the sessions you remember when the artist is there. And, I'd say a good 80% of the sessions,
they're not there.
The artist isn't there. You just get the arranger, the producer in the studio. And it's fun when the artist is there and you can really, get to know them a little. Paul Simon was always there.
Frank Sinatra, Frank Zappa, two huge Franks on your mega resume. Were they there when you did it?
Oh, yeah, they were there. That was live on the record, L.A. is My Lady, and everyone was in the studio at the same time. Huge band, all the best guys in town. There was a small audience, Quincy Jones conducting, great charts by Bob James, all the best writers. Frank just sang great. We all go, wow, man, it's Frank Sinatra. It was one of the only sessions that everyone had their cameras out, taking pictures of him. Michael Jackson showed up in that red coat he used to wear. But at one point, we were doing an arrangement of Mac the Knife. But Frank actually sings, and he altered the lyrics. But he goes, we got George Benson, we got Lionel Hampton, we got the Brecker brothers, and when he said the Brecker brothers, studio guys, they all got hysterical that he mentioned us.
That's incredible.
But, that was an unforgettable 2 days of sessions, as was, you had mentioned Frank Zappa.
Yeah.
I only got that gig because, once again, my friend Alan Rubin, it was supposed to be the horn section from Saturday Night Live. That year, my brother had played on the show for a couple of years, so he was a part of it with Ronnie Cuber and Lou Marini, Tom Malone. So I got talked into doing the gig. I was a little reticent myself because the music is really hard, and I was worried if I could do it. And I did as good as I could. But it was fascinating watching Frank conduct. He was really a thorough, and I might add, really serious, about his music. A very serious, as he put it, classical composer. And he could conduct really well this difficult music. We played as much of it as we could. Some of it, I speaking for myself, was over my head.
Wow.
But we did pretty well. I think the best reader out of all of us was Lou Marini, who always, particularly when we had to do the Black Page. I'll tell you one story where Marini was supposed to play the Black Page on tenor. The previous tune he was playing soprano. He was a little lazy about switching the horn, so he played it on soprano saxophone instead of tenor. And midway through the Black Page, which we're all scuffling through, it's called the Black Page because there's so many notes on the page. Frank noticed he was playing soprano instead of tenor. Hardly made any difference, really, because it's all unison. But he made us stop and start over because he wanted on tenor saxophone. So we had to stop and start the tune over in front of the audience. But that record is the one I get asked most about, I think, out of all the records that we've played on.
Those are just incredible stories. You're a great storyteller, too. And
Thank you.
You're so welcome. I was just curious, because you are at your home, if you happen to have an instrument handy.
Well, I don't know if this will sound like I haven't really warmed up, but let's see.
Appreciate it, too, Randy.
Okay, well, I'm just going to play anything that comes to mind. Some funky stuff, maybe some other stuff.
Thank you.
Okay, I guess that's enough of a warm-up. I think I just woke my 11-year-old up. Well, that's the gist of it. I'm just trying to keep my chops up.
Your chops sound fantastic. It's Randy Brecker, the legendary Brecker Brothers, playing a little for us here on All Things Considered, sharing some great stories, and we give you a big mahalo.
Anytime, man. This was a lot of fun. Yeah, really good questions.
Thank you, my brother. We'll keep in touch too, and good luck with everything.
Thanks, Dave. It was a lot of fun, and we'll see you again.